Hey YouTube, in this video I want to talk about why I decided to become an eToro fund manager with just $250. I will also discuss what eToro is, what kind of broker is, what are the benefits and risks of using this broker. I also talk about what is copy trading, which is what eToro is famous for. And finally, we'll look at the portfolio I have started on eToro and the strategy for this portfolio and how you can benefit from the portfolio as well. So let's go over to the eToro website and find out more about it. And by the way, if you sign up for eToro using the link below in the description, you will get $50 and I will get $50. This is limited to only the first 10 people who sign up using the link. So as you scroll down, you find out a little bit more information about eToro. They have all the stocks that you usually want to invest in, and they charge zero commission. They also allow you to buy fractional shares, which I think is very useful. eToro is famous for its copy trader platform, and I'll go into this in a bit more detail at a later part. They have this popular investors program, which is one reason why I am joining eToro as a fund manager. So they are the leader of social trading. They are regulated by the FCA and SISEC. They have good security protocols and they say they will protect your privacy. So before you open an account with eToro, you need to be assured that it is a trustworthy broker. So they have registered office in Cyprus, Israel, China, and the United Kingdom. They allow both social trading and manual trading. As mentioned, they are regulated. They are regulated by the Cyprus Security and Exchange Commission. In the UK, they are regulated under the Financial Conduct Authority. In Australia, they're registered as well, and they are governed by the Australian Securities and Investment Commission. So eToro has millions of users in 150 countries. They are most famous for their social investment network where they allow copy trading. Let's take a look at an ad from eToro about this, and I always see this ad when I open videos on YouTube.
Steve and Dave use eToro to invest in the financial markets. Steve does research on global investment opportunities. Dave does research on how to become a level 60 wizard. Steve follows the feed for the latest market news. Dave follows the feed for the latest cat videos. Steve has a watch list for promising investments. Dave has a watch list too. So why is Dave just as good an investor as Steve? It's because Dave used eToro's copy trader to automatically replicate Steve's trading activity. Whenever Steve makes a trade, Dave does too. Yes. Trade like a Steve with eToro, the world's leading social trading platform.
So that gives the basic idea of copy trading. Basically, you have someone doing all the hard work and someone else just copying him and achieving the same results. Anyway, if you need more information about copy trading or about eToro in general, I encourage you to look at the Help Center. There's a lot of useful information here, and it's not just about copy trading, it's about a lot of other topics as well. So if you do need more information, head on to the Help Center. So before we get into the portfolio that I've started on eToro, I just want to let you know a few other things about eToro. As I mentioned, you can invest in fractional shares, so you can invest with as little as $50. The other thing to note is that all the stocks, or mostly all the stocks on eToro, are CFDs. So you need to understand a little about what are CFDs. Basically, a CFD means that you do not own the underlying stock, but you own a contract for that stock. Another thing about CFDs is that they can often involve leverage, so you want to be very careful. In my portfolio, I will not be using any leverage for the most part. So if you're copying my portfolio, you should also not be using any leverage. Leverage can be dangerous because it can go against you. So let's now take a look at how you can use eToro and its copy trade function to copy the portfolio. I am starting on eToro. So you can find the link to my portfolio and on the more recent videos that I have posted. For example, this is my last video, and if you go down to the description tab and if you look for this particular link in the description tab, you will be able to find my portfolio. So you can go ahead and you can click on that link. So when you click the link, this page pops up, and on this page you will be able to see my portfolio. If you're interested to copy, you must have at least $200 in your account, and all you got to do is just press this copy button and you will be copying all the investments that I have in this portfolio. At the moment, we have a few stocks. We have PayPal, we have MasterCard, we have Adobe, we have Amazon, and we will have some cash as well. Most of the stocks are evenly distributed at the moment. You can see some cash over here, but generally I will try to be fully invested for this portfolio. If you go over to the feed, you can see a bit more information about this portfolio. As I say in this post here, this account will generally mimic the strategy for Project 1 million on my YouTube channel. I will not suddenly invest in something that I am not good in or something that I have little knowledge about, or I will not indulge in gambling for sure. I will buy high quality stocks that I think can compound over the long term. I will be a little more opportunistic in this account because I'm able to buy fractional shares. That is why I picked up some PayPal and Adobe shares the last time they dipped. So if you're planning to open an account with eToro, I would suggest you use the link in my description tab. You stand a chance to get $50 upon making a deposit of $200. So you might be wondering what is in it for me. Well, I'm hoping to become a popular investor on eToro, and you do get some benefits from being a member of their popular investor program. Eventually, I hope to start earning and getting paid from eToro if I become a rising star. They pay a monthly payment of about $500, and to achieve that $500 I need to meet a certain amount of requirements. I must have at least $1,000 in the account that I'm using. I must meet their responsible trading requirements. I must have at least 10 copiers. I must have a minimum AUM of about 40k among my copiers, and I would have had to have done it for about 2 months. Everyone starts off as a cadet first, so I will have to achieve the 2 months as a cadet and meet those requirements as well before I can move on to the rising star level. So that is the start of my journey as a eToro fund manager. I plan to provide updates on this eToro account every quarter, and I will also let you know how we're doing in terms of achieving our goals to become a rising star on eToro and how much money we have made from eToro. So that's a wrap for this video. I hope you learned a little about eToro. I hope you find it useful for you, and we'll see you in the next video. Hey YouTube, In this video, I want to talk about the eToro account that I spoke to you about a few weeks ago. The eToro account is already gaining traction. You can see that the portfolio value has increased quite dramatically from the 250 it had to nearly about 600. I want to tell you why this has happened and about some other developments, and also about the first money I made through my YouTube channel indirectly. Stay tuned. So I actually opened my eToro account way back in 2012. At that time, I was a complete newbie. I didn't know much about investing, and I was just trying the platform out. At that time, I was a little more interested in Forex. So I decided to copy a trader called Pyrus, and that was probably one of the first few trades I did on this platform. So the copy trade with the trader Pyrus and a few other traders, mainly on Forex, didn't really work out, and so I gave up. And I didn't use the eToro platform again for many years. So fast forward a few years and a couple months back, actually, I decided to relook the platform. The reason I decided to relook the platform was because I came across this YouTube channel, and the YouTuber here was actually a rising star on eToro. He was using eToro quite effectively. In fact, I think at one time he was managing about $1 million on the eToro platform. So that sparked my interest and got me to relook the platform. So a few weeks ago, when I decided to, relook at the platform, I actually got a big shock because I realized that I was being charged a lot of fees here, and I didn't know what those fees were all about. You can see minus $5 here, minus $10. It seemed like this was happening every month. And so my platform, the portfolio value actually gone down quite a bit to $253 here. And when I had stopped the copy trades, it was about 450, and I think my initial deposit was about 500. So I lost $50 on the copy trades, and then it seemed like I lost another almost another $200, or about 180 actually, on fees which I didn't know what they were about. So I wrote to eToro and asked him what the fees were about. Apparently, I had not logged into my account for at least a year, and so a monthly inactivity fee to the sum of $10 was charged every month from the remaining balance. And so this continued for quite some time because I actually had not opened the eToro account for many years. So I told him that I had no knowledge of this inactivity fees. I asked him to reverse it, and I told him I had a YouTube channel and that if they did, I would tell people about it as well. So the good news is they did reverse the inactivity fees to the tune of $180. So I got $180 back in the account. And now you see a few other deposits here. You see $50 here, you see $50 here, and you see $50 here. Now let me tell you what this is about, because I did not deposit this $150. So in the last few videos, I've been promoting this link where you can get $50 if you sign up through the link in the description tab. And so it's been working. I've already had 3 people sign up, and that's how I got another $150 deposited into the account. So the last few weeks I've been getting this email where it says a gift of $50 has been awarded. This has become one of the favorite emails I've been receiving in the last few days. So I think this was one of the first emails I got. This guy Perplex12 joined through my link. So what happens is he signs up through the link in the description tab. He verifies his account. I think he makes a first deposit of at least $50. He gets $50 and I get $50. So and I think it happened quite fast because I just posted the first eToro video about 1 or 2 weeks ago, I think, and I already got 3, and so my $50 has been already credited into my account. So this was another one. This was Equity Trust. So I think he made his deposit as well, and so he got $50 and I got $50 as well. And this was the latest one. This guy is JoGo365. This guy's interesting because he did his own YouTube video about getting the $50, and now he is looking for people to click on his link so that he can also get $50 through his family and friends link. So this guy is starting his own business through my link, and that's quite interesting. So the other interesting development is that I've also got my first few followers. In fact, I've got 4 followers. So every time you get a follower, you get an email like this. So basically they tell you that someone has added you to a watch list and is following your posts. So that's a good sign because if they're following me, means they're interested in maybe copying me as well. So hopefully I win them over, and so that they can become a copier as well. So I'm getting more accustomed to the platform, and I'm also starting to like it a bit more. I have about 160,000 in my TD Ameritrade account, and I'm not sure if I can just bring all of that over to this platform just yet. I still have a few questions, and there's still a few reasons why I may not transfer all my assets into this eToro platform. So I had some questions regarding eToro and their platform, and I decided to try out their live chat feature. So this is the transcript of my chat with eToro. Let's go through it because there may be some answers to some of the questions you may have, especially if you're interested in copying my investments. So I was quite straightforward in my questions. Let's go through some of the questions. So one question I had is, what if eToro goes bankrupt? What happens to my funds? So I am under the ASIC regulation, which is the Australian regulator. So basically they separate their client accounts and their office accounts. So that is the protection I have. So I wanted to ask them if they have any insurance, because I think some clients who are registered under SISEC or the FCA, they do have insurance. Unfortunately, I do not have that insurance at the moment. But I think under SISEC, I think the insurance is about 20,000 euros. So later on in the chat, I asked him actually if I could transfer my account to SISEC so that I could also become eligible for the 20,000 insurance. And that would give me confidence maybe to raise my portfolio value up to at least 20,000. For my TD Ameritrade account, I know it has insurance up to about 250,000, and I'm at about 160,000, so I'm pretty comfortable, even in the worst case scenario. Another question I had was regarding their instruments. So I think under ASIC, again, they only offer CFDs. So with CFDs, you don't really own the underlying stock, and also sometimes they can be leveraged. And I don't want to use any leverage for my account. So I had to clarify with them that when I set leverage to X1, that means there's no leverage. And they did clarify that. So if I'm buying CFDs, my copiers will also buy CFDs. And I think it's better that they buy the underlying equities. So I asked if I could transfer my account to SISEC, and I'm still waiting to hear from them on that. The other thing I wanted to clarify was that if I use no leverage, that there'll be no fees, and so they did clarify that there shouldn't be any other fees. I also know that I have a lot of viewers from the US, so I asked him when eToro US will offer stocks to US investors. At the moment, I think they only offer cryptocurrencies, so bear that in mind if you decide to open an account. But hopefully they will bring stocks to eToro USA customers as well very soon. So that's the journey so far on eToro. I'm starting to like the platform. I think it's pretty established and a reputable platform. I like how they instantly deposit the referral fees, and they also, agreed to my request to reverse the charges that they had charged to my account. So I got a lot more money now in the account, and I got to think about allocating this. Market seems a little high right now, so I am being a bit cautious. But I'm going to look out for opportunities. I hope to get the first copy as well, and I know that will set me on my journey to be a eToro fund manager. So there are at least seven more people who can get that $50 as well through my link, which is will be in the description tab. Once you open your account, you can do what the other guy did that I mentioned. You can start your own business and get your own friends to sign up for your own link, and maybe you can get up to 500 as well. So that's it for this video. Thank you for joining me on my journey on eToro, and have a great day. Please like and subscribe if you haven't, and of course drop a comment as well. Peace out. Hey YouTube, in this video I want to go through how we can find the top investors on the eToro platform. I've just started and I want to become a popular investor on the eToro platform. So it's good for me to know what the competition is. Let's take a look at how the returns are calculated, and I'll also talk about how I calculate my returns for my Project 1 million portfolio. So it's pretty simple to find the existing top traders and investors on the eToro platform. So you look for this tab called Copy People and you click on it. Then you have some parameters here that you can choose from in terms of finding the investors that you are looking for. So I want to look for investors that have performed well over a long period of time. So I'm going to select last 2 years. Over the last 2 years, I expect a return of at least 10%. The person can be from anywhere. My preference is the person invests in stocks. I've not seen many people who have consistently made money in currencies or commodities over the long term. Crypto, I think, is just gambling at the moment. Indices, stocks, and ETFs, these are my preferences. Warren Buffett and a lot of other long-term investors have made a lot of money by being buy and hold long-term investors in stocks. So I'm looking for someone who's up and coming and maybe can give me good ideas as well. So I'll go ahead and click on stocks. And then we press go. So this is what you get. So for me to know what is a good return, I got to look at what the market has done over the last 2 years. So let's take a look at the performance of the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq over the last 2 years. So the performance of the S&P 500 has been about 20% over the last 2 years, and the performance of the Nasdaq has been about 23 or 0.97, or we could say about 24%. So I'm looking for someone who has done at least between 20 to 24% over the last 2 years. So let's go back to our search results. So we see quite a few high return candidates here. Let's click on this one first. So Japper Kirk Bonde. Let's take a look at his stats. Well, this year he's doing very well. He's done about 35.84%. Last year not so good. The year before seems quite amazing. This is probably a yellow flag for me because the average investor will not gain such high returns unless there's some very high leverage or risk involved. So let's take a look at his portfolio and let's see what kind of stocks he's interested in. So he has this company here that I've not heard of. He has Facebook, not heard of this company, not heard of this company, not heard of this either. I know of Micron. Well, this company. I know of Amazon. I know of Google, Nintendo, Apple, BlackRock, Tesla, Xiaomi. Oh, he has Bitcoin in it. That's probably a yellow flag for me as well. I know Bitcoin's only 2.24%, but my general feeling about cryptocurrencies is that they're very speculative and they're probably just gambling at this point of time because they don't really have a real life use case at the moment. So he has ST Lauder, he has JP Morgan, Nvidia, okay, Illumina, okay. So he has some good companies. He has a few companies I never heard of. He seems to be also interested in commodities and cryptos. So probably not my kind of guy in that case. So let's take a look at the next candidate. Let's take a look at this guy. Pretty decent returns. Mariano Pardo. Let's take a look at this guy. So he's done pretty well. It seems this year 28%. Last year not too bad as well. Last year was a down market for the market in general. And the year before also not too bad. So no yellow flags here. These seem to be possible results for equities investor and a long-term investor. Let's take a look at his portfolio. Okay, he has some familiar names: Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Facebook. Not heard of this company, but I don't know all the companies. Facebook, Netflix, Salesforce, Electronic Arts, PayPal, Visa, Disney, MasterCard. MongoDB, I've heard of it as well. It seems a bit of a speculative play, maybe even overvalued, but it's I wouldn't say it's a bad company. So there's some other companies here as well: Activision, Apple, Oracle, Nike, Coca-Cola, Adobe, Tesla, Zendesk, IBM, Illumina, McDonald's, Boeing, Intel, Tencent, Yandex, JD, Booking. So it seems like his portfolio is pretty well diversified and a lot of familiar, and I see a lot of high quality companies. So this guy seems to be someone who is a long-term investor, someone who believes in buying high quality companies. I really think that is the best strategy. I mean, Warren Buffett has proven that over 50 years. Investors like Terry Smith and Chuck Akre have also proven that. That is something I'm willing to put my weight and my support behind. So this is one investor I will keep an eye out for. I'm going to add him to my long-term list. So you can add people to your watch list just by clicking over here, and then you can add them into your watch list. I've created a separate watch list called long-term here, and so I've added him to that watch list. Let's also take a look and take a deeper dive into how these returns are calculated. So if you go back to the stats page and if you click on this, you get some explanation here. And then when you click on this, you get more information. So let's go ahead and click on that. Okay, so when you click on it, this is what comes up. So there's a bit more information here on how the stats are calculated. Let's focus on the formula that they use to calculate the monthly performance. So basically this is the formula that they use. So you have the explanation here. and they explain it as this. This formula simply represents the net change in equity during a given month. And they have an example here as well. So have a read of this example, and then you can see that they have calculated the return for January to be 40%. Now I find this a little inflated. I want to go through how I would calculate the returns for this particular example, and it turns out that the return is actually much lesser. So I actually calculate my returns on the net asset value method. Let's take a look at that method using this example given by eToro. So they say in January you had a starting equity of 1,200. So starting of January you have net asset value of 1,200, and I can assume there will be 10 shares, and so each share will be $120, right? That's just a hypothesis here. And so they say that you deposit an additional $800. You lost $300 through trading first, and then you deposited an additional $800. So $1,200 has gone down to $900, and then you have an injection of new capital. So you have $800 here. So the shares remain the same, right? So 900 divided by 10 would be $90 for each share. Now that you inject $800, $900 plus $800 would be $1,700. Since each share is worth $90, you take 800 divided by 90 and you get 8.8888. That's the new shares you will get for the new $800. So you take that plus the 10 shares and you get 18.88888, right? So let's see what happens then. Later that month you gain 1,100 through trading. So that on the last week of January you had 2,800 in your equity. You decided to withdraw 500 to buy something nice for yourself, and therefore your account equity is at the end of January is 2,300. So we had 1,700. We had a gain of 1,100, so it becomes 2,800. And then we decide to do this reduction. So we had 18.88 shares. Now the shares are valued at 148.2359. We take 2,800 divided by this and you get this because of the gain in value. So we decide to take away 500 shares. $500, so it becomes 2,300. $500 divided by the net asset value per share will give us 3.3730. So we are losing this many shares. So our new share count will be this. Basically this minus this, we'll get 15.5158. So basically that's what we have at the end of January. So our share net asset value per share is 148. That increased from $120. So basically you take 148 to 3.2359 minus $120, and you divide it by the original $120 to get the percentage gain, and you get about 23.5%. So you can see that my calculation would be a little different from theirs and would be much lesser than the 40% that they mentioned here. So this net asset value method is also the method I use, as mentioned, to calculate the return for my project 1 million. So for example, at the start of the year, I started with about $114,000. So I made each share worth $1,000 just for the sake of easy calculation. Every time I make an injection of new capital, I do the same calculation of what are the new shares that I am getting. And so basically throughout the year, I've been doing those calculations As of 5th of November, the last update, the account was about 159,000. Then I made a further injection, and so it hit 160,000, and each share was valued at about $1,283, and that's how I got the percentage return of 28.3% for Project 1 million. So that's how I will calculate the return. So I'll be a little careful about the returns published in the stats page. Another interesting thing about the eToro platform is you can also invest in copy portfolios. So these are like a bunch of different stocks grouped together according to a certain theme. So you have a food tech team here, you have a 5G revolution team here. The other interesting thing I found was that you also have teams based on a group of traders. So you could also invest according to that. And then the other thing that I wanted to point out was that you could also invest in some famous investors and copy their portfolios. I recently did a video about copycat investing and why that's a very smart thing to do. What I found interesting was that you could even copycat Warren Buffett's portfolio. I guess this is only his public stocks portfolio. And so you see the familiar stocks that he owns in his public stocks portfolio, like Apple, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Coca-Cola, and so on. So you could even add this to your long-term watch list, and that's what I've done as well. So that is basically how I find the top investors on the eToro platform. Let me know what you thought about my methodology and about the stats and how you calculate the returns, and also what kind of investors you are looking for on this platform. Let me know your thoughts on this video. If there's a good response to this video, I might do a follow-up video on some other top investors on the eToro platform as well. So if you found this video useful, click that like button and drop a comment. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and share the video with someone else who might think who will find it useful. If you haven't started your eToro journey, click on that link in my description tab and sign up, and you can also get $50. And let me know your thoughts on the eToro platform. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you in the next video. Hey YouTube, a few weeks ago I told you that I just started on eToro as a fund manager. Well, the journey has been fun and interesting so far, and I am enjoying it. We also got a number of followers already for our portfolio on eToro, and we have also got our first few copiers. These are the early adopters who will benefit from the gains in our Project 1 million portfolio. In this video, I want to take a look at some of the other current top investors on the eToro platform. I always keep an eye out for other investors who are doing well. Let's take a look. On the eToro platform, you can create watch lists. I've created a few watch lists on my account. I've created a one for long-term investors. I've also created one for those who have a lot of copiers. I also created one for those who I'm still researching. And I also created one for the traders who are engaging in day trading and other kinds of trading and who seem to be doing well. For this video, the focus is on the long-term investors. These are some of the long-term investors and their portfolios that I've identified so far that I see have good long-term potential. Let's take a look at some of them in detail. The first long-term investor that I want to introduce you to is this lady called One Girl. Her real name is Lena Virginia Bursey. Let's take a look at her profile in a bit more detail. So she says she's a medium longer term stock investing investor. She also has a blog, and we'll look at that in a short while. She has about 17,000 followers and about 607 copiers. Let's take a look at her stats. So this year has been a blowout year for her. She did almost 40% year to date. Last year was not good for the stock market in general and not good for her account, but the year before she did very well as well. And if you look further down, you can see that she has performed reasonably okay for the other years as well. She has a lot of copiers, as mentioned. Over the year, her maximum drawdown has been about 18.29%, which is not too bad. Her AUM, or assets under management, is between 300k to 1 million. That is how much money she's managing. Her average holding time for a stock is about 16 months, and I usually like that because I am a long-term investor myself. Let's take a look at her portfolio as well. So in a portfolio, you see a lot of familiar names, and some of these stocks I own for Project 1 million as well. She has Amazon, MasterCard, Netflix, Nvidia, Apple, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, PayPal, Adobe, Shopify, and a few other stocks here as well. So I can see that she's investing a lot in some of these bigger names, and that's something I do as well. What I like about her portfolio as well is that she is also placing small bets on some of these smaller cap but very promising stocks like Square, Trade Desk, Etsy, Twilio, Roku, Pinterest, and Workday. Some of these have not worked out for her. Pinterest is down nearly 45% since she bought it. Etsy is down 31.93%. But nonetheless, I think that has probably helped her account overall. Making small bets on some of these very promising and high growth companies, along with the very stable and large cap companies. So a very balanced and interesting portfolio. On her blog, she has some interesting articles as well. So you can see she has an article about why it's good to stay invested, power compounding, why it's difficult to invest long term, top 10 rules, investing rules, importance of understanding volatility, and key things she looks out for when buying a stock. So I suggest you check it out if you're interested. The next long-term investor I want to introduce you to is this investor called Spark Liang. His real name is Teo Kai Liang. So most of his posts are in Chinese, but the good thing about eToro is that you can actually translate everything to English, and so you can understand all his posts. So let's take a look at his bio. He's a long-term value investor. He bought about 10 stocks in 2018, only bought one stock in 2019. Buying is long-term holding unless the fundamentals deteriorate. The market rises, continue hold. The market falls, I buy more. That sounds like a winning strategy to me. Let's take a look at his stats. This year he has done very well indeed. Almost 40% year to date. A great year for him. Last year, as mentioned, was not a good year for the stock market, so he didn't do too well either. He has about 607 copiers. He is also managing about 300k to 1 million, and his drawdown has been even less this year than one girl, and is only 13% plus. He also tends to hold his average stock for average holding time of about 16 months. So a long-term investor indeed. Let's take a look at his portfolio. So he has Facebook. This is a holding that Project 1 million is also very bullish on. He has Baba, another holding we are very bullish on as well. He has JD.com. He has Tesla. Oh, I think Jeremy will like this guy. He has Starbucks. He has Shopify, Apple, Disney, Netflix. And I'm not sure what this is, so let's find out what this is. Oh, this is the FTSE China 25 Index Fund, iShares. So overall, I think it's a decent portfolio. Very interesting, some good stable names as well as some value plays, maybe like Tesla, and also some large caps like Apple. And the other interesting thing about his portfolio is that he is almost half now in cash. So you can see he's holding 44% in cash. So he probably thinks the market is a little high right now, and he's probably waiting for better opportunities. The other interesting thing about Spark Lang is that he actually has his own YouTube channel as well, and he's quite a prominent and popular YouTube channel. It seems he has about 154 subscribers, and he also tends to post regular videos. Unfortunately, these videos are in Mandarin, so I won't be able to understand them, and I don't think YouTube has a feature yet where they provide subtitles and translations. So until they do, I won't be able to understand these videos. But if you do understand Mandarin, then I suggest go ahead and check out these videos. I'm sure they'll probably be interesting. The next long-term investor I want to introduce you to is Elderick. His real name is Aaron V. And so this is his homepage. Let's find out a little bit more about his investing style. He says here at Elderick, capital protection emphasized while not entirely foregoing capital generation. Investments are made after extensive research and observation. Sans leverage to further minimize risk. I like that. I don't use that leverage either in my investments. Profits are either accumulated or reinvested into assets within the portfolio. Finally, monthly bio updates reflect changes made over the past month. As a long-term, primarily defensive investor, I don't personally subscribe to technical analysis. In-depth fundamental analysis, however, is critical. And I agree. I mean, to me, investing is all about understanding the businesses you're investing in and investing for the long term. So, seems interesting. Let's look at his stats. So, this year he did pretty well as well. 27% year to date. Not too bad. And actually, last year was a down market for the overall stock market, but he did reasonably okay. He actually made a profit even last year, 2.26%. And the year before was a blowout year for him. He did very well, 44%. Let's look at more stats. Okay, so he started here in on eToro in 2016. So this guy has I think one of the highest copiers out of the three that I'm showcasing in this video. He has about 1,428 copiers, and his year to date drawdown is pretty low, which is 13.8, pretty good. His average holding time for stock is about 15.5 months, so also a long-term investor. Let's take a look at his portfolio. So this is his portfolio. He seems to be more of a value investor. He has Berkshire Hathaway as his biggest holding right now. He has Disney, Apple, okay, Activision. Oh, he has gold as well. Okay, I know that Warren Buffett doesn't like gold, but he likes to invest in gold apparently. There's some other company. I think Bayer is a deep value play for him, maybe because of all the troubles he's been going through. Cisco, Pfizer, Procter & Gamble, Visa, Tesla as well here. Okay, interesting. Some Facebook, some Microsoft, MasterCard, Costco. Okay, he seems to have a larger number of companies than the previous two investors. Baba, okay. These are the other companies, some Coke as well. Okay, and some other companies here as well. So he's mostly invested. He only has 8.7% in cash at the moment. So it seems like quite a diversified portfolio, more tilted towards value plays, but he does have some good companies in them, and he seems to have done very well this year. So when you open up a eToro account, you are given $10,000 in virtual money for investing. So I decided to start a competition among these good investors on the eToro platform. So I chose 9 investors to invest $1,000 each, and I'm also going to have the index. Let's go back. Sorry. So I have the index over here, and I have chosen 9 investors, including the 3 that I've profiled in this video. So I have this investor. He has a very high number of copiers. This is a long-term investor identified. This is the one we talked about. This is another trader, I think, who has done pretty well. Another trader, another trader. This also seems to be a good long-term investor. And we have talked about Elderic, and we have talked about One Girl already. So I put $1,000 in each of them, and let's see how it goes. Let's compare this virtual portfolio every 3 months and see who is leading in terms of growing their money. So I hope you found that look at some of the top 3 long-term investors I found so far on the eToro platform useful. I think this will probably be an ongoing series as I research and learn more about some of these investors. I will probably add them to my watch list, and maybe we will do another video about some new long-term investors that I have been able to find. I hope you will also join me on my eToro journey. If you haven't opened the eToro account yet, I suggest you do. It's a fun and interesting social trading platform where you get to interact with people all over the world, and of course you get to copy and learn from some of the best investors. I still have about 6 people who are able to claim $50 if they sign up using the link in my description tab. So if you haven't opened an eToro account, I suggest you do it. If you found this video useful, please smash that like button. It really helps the YouTube with the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe if you haven't, and please share this video with people you think might find it interesting and who are serious about investing long term. That's it for this video, and we'll see you in the next video. Have a great day. Hey YouTube, recently we got enrolled in the Popular Investor program at eToro. So now we are a cadet Popular Investor, and our journey as a fund manager on eToro starts. We also got this cool dashboard button, and we are able to see a few more statistics on our eToro account. Let's click on that and let's take a look. So you get to see the number of copiers. You also get to see your progress. So everyone starts off as a cadet, and once you reach the rising star level, that is when you really start making money. You need at least 20 copiers to really fully experience the dashboard and to see more in-depth statistics. For the purpose of this video, I have created a watch list on the highest copied people on eToro. So I'm going to take a look at a few of them, and we're going to see what makes them so popular on eToro. Let's do that. So the first popular investor that we're going to take a look at is this investor called Olivier Danwell. He has about 8,750 plus copiers, and I think this is the highest number of copiers I have found so far on eToro. So let's take a look at his profile in more detail. So Olivier is from France. So he has been an FX trader for 10 years. He says this is a low risk strategy, aims for consistent positive returns with strict money management rules. My target is 1% per month. I do few trades per month. I monitor currency pairs all month to find the best entry. There is some management scaling position for perfect entry size. He recommends an amount of about 500 to get all his trades. He also has a website and he has about 82,000 plus followers, and out of those followers he has about, as mentioned, 8,700 plus copiers, and he's gained about 48 copiers in the last 7 days. So for me, Olivier Danville is not someone I would copy, or at least I think I would not at this stage. He is mainly an FX trader, and I am mainly an equities long-term investor. But let's take a look at his stats. So at his stats page, we get to see his performance. So for 2019, his performance has not been that great compared to what the stock market in general has done overall. But you notice one thing about his performance. He has not had a single losing month ever since he started on eToro, it seems. So while his returns seem a little lower, they seem to be pretty consistent and pretty reliable. Last year was not a good year for the stock market, but he managed to pull out 18% performance last year, and the year before he did about 16%. So he seems like the Ray Dalio of eToro. Basically, he seems to have a very low risk and low return kind of strategy. But it seems to be popular. I mean, he has the highest number of copiers on eToro. Let's take a look at some other stats. Another remarkable thing about his performance is that he has one of the lowest risk profiles I've seen on eToro so far. He has a risk level of just 1. The lower the number, the lower your risk, basically. So let's see here in August, it reached a level of 5, but usually it's been quite low. And he manages more than 5 million in assets. This is the total amount of money that his copiers have allocated to him. His maximum drawdown for this year has been about nearly 8%. He's very profitable with his trades, 72% plus are profitable. He does about 10 trades per week. He holds them for about 4.5 days. So that's some information on Olivier Danville. Let's take a look at his portfolio. So he does some commodities as well, it seems. So he's selling all at the moment. Currency pair here and another currency pair. And he's also into Bitcoin a bit. So he's mostly holding cash right now. So, I mean, if you are interested in the currency market or even the commodity market, Olivier Danville seems to be someone who can be very reliable. So far, he's not had a losing month. He will have his losing month, I'm sure, someday. But he seems to be very consistent in adopting his low risk strategy. So the next popular investor we're going to take a look at is this investor called Jeppe Kirkmonde. So he is an elite popular investor, and the elite popular investor is basically the highest level on eToro, and you get the most money for being at that level. So let's take a look at his profile in more detail. So he's living in the United Kingdom at the moment. So he has achieved 30% average annual return since 2013. Quite an amazing feat. So that's clearly one of the reasons why he has become one of the most copied popular investors on eToro. So he analyzes trends in global markets, politics, technology, and society, and perform fundamental valuations, comparing the value of companies with their stock prices, and continuously managing the overall portfolio risk through hedging and diversification. He's a full-time professional investor, and I guess once you reach that level on eToro, you can afford to do it full-time. He has worked as a management consultant to some of the largest banks and tech companies in the world. So definitely has some good credentials, it seems. And of course, he has the performance to back it up as well. So he has about 107,000 plus followers, 7,800 copiers, and he has gained about 334 copiers in the last 7 days. So he's catching up with Olivier Danville. So let's take a look at his performance. So he hasn't had quite the unblemished record that Olivier Danville has had. He has some losing months, but his performance for 2019 is through the roof. He has done an amazing 42% this year. Last year was not a very good year for the stock market, and he underperformed the stock market. He did minus 12%, but the year before was an amazing year for him, and it seems that he has been able to do well consistently over the last few years. He started on eToro in 2013, and that's probably one of the reasons why he has built up such a large following on eToro, and he's one of the highest copied popular investors. His risk profile is higher, so it's about 4. That's where he seems to average. He's also managing about 5 million plus in assets, and his drawdown for the year has been about 14% plus. So this guy is more of an equities trader, and so it's probably someone I would consider copying if I was not investing on my own. So he does about 3 trades per week, and his average holding time is about 11.5 months. So he seems to be a relatively long-term investor as well. And so I like that. I like long-term investors because I think that is the best way to succeed in the market. Let's take a look at his portfolio. So he's also into commodities. In fact, that's his biggest position right now. He's buying oil. So he invests in a range of companies, it seems, some international companies. This one is listed in the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Don't know about this company, but I do know about Facebook. Facebook is a big position for me in my Project 1 Million portfolio as well. Solar Edge Technologies, Nintendo, Micron, NetEase, Amazon, Google, some familiar names, Apple, Louis Vuitton, LVMH is one stock that I'm looking at as well. BlackRock, Tesla, seems to have a number of positions, some Bitcoin as well, and Nvidia. So his balance is only 3.2% right now, so it's mostly invested. So great performance this year, and quite a consistent performer, it seems. The next popular investor we're going to take a look at with the highest number of copiers is this investor called Omar ETSA. So he is also an elite popular investor. Let's take a look at his bio. So, dear eTorianos, okay, my name is Omar. I'm 23 years old. I've been investing in eToro from March 2017. I've been training on financial markets for several years now, so quite a young investor. And I try to close every month with benefits, okay, close operations. I invest in the medium, long-term, weeks, currency pairs, indexes, raw materials and stocks. So he seems like a mixture of Olivier Danville and Jeppe Kirk Bondi. Currently have an average monthly benefit of 3 to 4%. Monthly, I make a report on the situation. If you're interested in copying me, minimum investment of $500. So let's take a look at his stats. So let's see how he has done so far this year. And he has done very well as well. He has done about 28% plus this year. And last year he did very well too. He did 30% plus. And 2017 was a blockbuster year for him. He did almost 500% that year. So, I mean, for me, if I see such a high return number, I get a little suspicious, because you probably have to use a lot of leverage to achieve those kind of returns. So he hasn't achieved those same kind of returns in the following years. So he may have revised his strategy a little, which probably will be a good thing if it's a safer strategy now. Let's take a look at his risk score. So his risk score is about 4, average to about 3. He has about 6,377 copiers, and he gained about 260 copiers in the last 7 days. And he also manages more than $5 million in assets under management. This year, his drawdown has been about nearly 19%. So it's quite profitable with his trades, about 71%. So it seems like mainly currencies. So he does about 5.55 trades per week. Doesn't hold in much, so not a long-term investor. Only holds it for about 1.5 months. Now let's take a look at his portfolio. So right now he's selling gold. He's selling this company called Lam Research. He's selling Apple. That hasn't been too good for him so far. That's one reason why I don't like short selling. It's not very fun, because even if I felt Apple was at a high valuation right now, I wouldn't want to short sell it, because it could go much higher, and I don't want to sustain those kind of losses. So yes, Target. Let's see what he's buying. He's buying Occidental Petroleum. Warren Buffett recently opened a small position in this as well. He's selling Microsoft as well. Not a very good move so far. Selling Sherwin-Williams. I can see why he's selling some of these stocks. I mean, they do seem a little on the high side of their valuations right now. He's selling the S&P 500 index and the Nasdaq 100 index. Not been good decisions so far. So that's one reason his December has probably not been so good. Whereas the market has had a very good December so far. He's mostly invested, and he has about 8.6% in cash. So the final popular investor with the highest number of copiers I want to profile here would be this popular investor called Balance AM. His real name is Sergej Kovolonoks. I hope I pronounced that correctly. He's from Latvia. And that's the great thing about eToro. You have investors from all over the world. It truly is a global platform. So let's find out a little bit more about him. He's been working in the Swiss mutual fund as head of research for more than 9 years, managing big German and Swiss institutional money. He's very grateful for what he's learned. Okay, he handles a concentrated active portfolio, diversified around 10 to 15 stocks that exhibit robust business quality characteristics. So I like what I read here. I mean, I am also a proponent of having a concentrated portfolio, and I will also probably have about between 5 to 15 stocks. The risks are optimized by applying systematic principles to selection and allocation processes. Portfolio can go long and short at the same time. So I'm not a short seller, so I'm only a long-term investor. Minimum technical copy amount is about $200. The other thing I like about Balance AM is that he tends to post very educational information. Recently, he posted this graph about the fear index and how we are at extreme greed, it seems, or nearer to extreme greed right now. Let's take a look at his performance this year. So, how has his performance been? Okay, so performance been not too bad, 25%, slightly underperforming the S&P 500. So, not a great year for him. But last year he handily beat the S&P 500. He did about 14%, while the S&P 500 was about minus 4% last year. And 2017 he did pretty well as too. So, very positive returns over the years. It's pretty steady and it seems pretty reliable. So let's take a look at his risk score. He's about 3. I wouldn't consider 3 a very high risk score. So 3 seems about the average actually. So he has about 5,009 copiers. He's gained about 161 copiers in the last 7 days. So he manages about 2 million to 5 million in assets under management. His yearly drawdown has been very low. It's only been about 4.26%. It seems quite profitable with his trades. About 75% have been profitable. So he seems more of an equities trader. He invests in companies. So he does about 4.32 trades per week, but his holding time doesn't seem very long. It seems like it's 1.5 months only. So it seems like a trader more than a long-term investor to me. Let's take a look at his portfolio. So he's buying this company called Gold Barrick, probably a play on gold. So he's selling a few companies here. Okay. Some very obscure companies, not companies that I'm very familiar with. He's buying Dell, it seems. Okay, Booking, I know I have that in my Project 1 million portfolio as well. Okay, so not many stocks, so he is being true to his strategy of being concentrated. Yeah, he has about nearly 40% in cash right now. So that is a look at some of the most popular investors on eToro with the highest number of copiers. So I've been also posting regularly on my eToro feed. So I post about articles that I read, and you can check out my eToro feed if you're interested to follow what I'm reading or what I'm interested in. Let's also take a look at our stats so far. So we only started in October. So far it's pretty decent. All months have been positive. December is positive for now. But my goal really is not just to have a positive month. I mean, our goal is really to outperform and beat the stock market over the long term. So I won't hesitate to buy stocks that I see trading at a good price, and they might go down a little more, but I won't budge. I mean, I want to buy high quality companies for the long term and let them compound. Right now I'm having a little difficulty in finding more high quality stocks to own. So I am mostly in cash for my eToro portfolio. But as soon as market valuations come down a little, I am very eager to start deploying more cash. I'm not trying to time the market, but I just need to feel a little bit more comfortable in deploying the cash. So that's it for this video. I hope you found it useful. I hope you're getting excited about eToro. I'm certainly getting more excited about eToro. I would suggest start with a small amount, play around with the platform, and copy a few popular investors. You could even copy me if you're keen to follow my portfolio. So before you join eToro, remember to use my link because you get an extra $50 if you use my link. And if you're interested to know where the link is, you can go over to any of my recent videos and you can click on the link to copy me if that's your intention, or if you just want to open the account, you can click on this link to open the account. And just make sure you read the T's and C's. You got to open and close your first trade, and you got to be from a participating country, and then you get that $50. And if you're not from a participating country, you can use this link to open your eToro account. Feel free to contact me if you have any issues with opening up your eToro account. I'll be more than happy to help. So thank you for watching this video. Please drop a like, it means a lot to me. Please comment and provide your feedback. I find it very useful in deciding what kind of content I should produce on this channel. And share the video for people who might find it interesting as well. So thank you and have a great day. Hey YouTube, in this video I want to talk about my aspiration to start Project 1 billion. A few months ago I started Project 1 million, and that project is humming along nicely. I expect to achieve that 1 million in 10 years or less, but now I have set my sights higher. I am aiming for Project 1 billion. In this video, I'm going to talk about how I plan to achieve that and what it means. So a few months ago, I told you about how I started on eToro, and I also became a popular investor on eToro, meaning I enrolled in their popular investor program. So that really opened the door to becoming what is essentially a fund manager on eToro. You set up your portfolio on eToro, and then there are people who can copy that portfolio. As you gain more copiers and you manage more money from these copiers, your AUM or assets under management will increase. Over time, I plan to grow that AUM exponentially. I'm going to take a look at some of the existing fund managers on eToro and how much they are making. So I think becoming a popular investor on eToro will help me hit the big time. I'm already investing my own money and I enjoy investing. So there is no harm in already doing what you will be doing anyway and letting others benefit from that as well. So eToro provides an example here. If you earn a 2% annual fee and if 1,000 people copy you with a total 10 million, you can earn an additional $200,000 a year. That is a lot of money. Let's look at more details of their popular investor program. So this is really the ladder of becoming a popular investor. So there are certain rungs to that ladder, and so these are the different levels. So I'm currently at the cadet level. So to become a cadet popular investor, basically you just need to have a minimum average equity in your own account of about $500. You also need to have an AUM of about 200, and you need to have a minimum one copier, which I have. I'm aiming for the rising star level as the next goal, and with that I'll get a $500 payment from eToro if I manage to hit that goal. So what do I need to do to hit that goal? Well, I need to have $1,000 in my own portfolio, which I do already. I need to have 10 copiers. currently I have about 4 or 5 copiers. I need to have about 40k in AUM. I don't know how much AUM I have right now, but I don't think it's anywhere close to 40k at the moment. But I think over time it will probably increase quite a lot. And once you become a champion, you earn about 1k from eToro. To do that, you need to have 5,000 in your portfolio, and you need to have 10 copiers who are following you with at least 150k of AUM. My YouTube portfolio already has 170,000 in it. So 150k shouldn't be that difficult. And the elite is really when you hit the big time. You get that 1k plus you get 2% annual AUM, and that's where it gets really interesting. So you become an elite when you're managing more than 500k in assets under management. So this is the level I'm aiming for, and this won't come soon. I think it'll probably take a few years to reach here, but I think once I do that, that will really give a boost to my goal of achieving 1 billion. And let me be clear that 1 billion is actually assets under management. That is the goal of this project 1 billion, to achieve 1 billion in assets under management. Now, I won't be able to achieve 1 billion on eToro alone because I think they have a limit on how much money can follow any particular popular investor. I think it could be between 5 to 10 million if I'm not mistaken. But I think eToro will be a very good stepping stone and a learning ground. So, here I will be actually managing money for other people, copiers, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of lessons to learn along the way. But in terms of the stocks I own, or in terms of my strategy, that will not change whether it's currently at the 170,000 that I manage for my own YouTube portfolio, or whether it's 1 billion that I intend to manage. If I had 1 billion today, I could invest it in probably the same way that I'm investing for my Project 1 million portfolio. In my Project 1 million portfolio, I'm a little more concentrated in the stocks I own. So if I was managing 1 billion, I would probably be a little less concentrated, but I will still be owning the same stocks. So as mentioned, many of the stocks I own for Project 1 million are already multi-billion dollar companies, and some will be trillion-dollar companies soon. So putting 1 billion in these companies is not really difficult. It could be spread out quite easily among some of these companies. As mentioned, I'm a bit more concentrated for Project 1 million. If it was 1 billion, maybe the top 3 stocks will be around 30 to 40% instead of 50%. Especially when you're managing other people's money, you have to be a little more diversified, even if that means sacrificing a little of your returns. People are more averse to losing money than gaining more returns. So and I respect that, and so I'll probably be a bit more diversified if I was managing 1 billion. So let's take a look at some of the existing popular investors on eToro that have the most number of copiers. I did a separate video on the most copied popular investors on eToro. There have been some changes, it seems, since that video. I recall in that video, I think Olivia Danville had the highest number of copiers. But as you can see, Yeppe Kirkbonde has now become the numero uno in terms of having the highest number of copiers. So let's click on his profile. So His claim to fame is that he has done 30% average annual return since 2013. Let's look at his trends. So he did 45.47% last year. But last year was a very good year. Even the Nasdaq ETF did almost 40%, as I showed in my January 2020 update. So decent result, but not an extraordinary result, I think. Um, and our portfolio did about 30% plus. And I think with a few, with ironing out some of the kinks and getting rid of some mistakes, I would have probably done better than 30%, maybe about 34, 35%. But anyway, 1 year performance is very short term. So what you want to look at really is over the long term. And over the long term, I think as a long term investor in high quality companies, I can have a similar return. So he has about 9,354 copiers, and within the last 7 days, he's gained about 561 copiers. He manages about 5 million plus assets under management. So it could be even 10 million, I don't know, but it's at the minimum is 5 million. So let's take a look at how much he earns. So if we go to this calculator here, which I worked out basically, so if he gets a 2% annual fee, he gets about 5 million times 2% is about 100,000. Plus he gets that 1,000 every month. So he gets at least 124,000 per year just managing his portfolio on eToro. And he could well be doing this for his own portfolio. And this 124,000 is really extra money if other people decide to just copy his portfolio. I remember seeing an interview of him once where he also said that basically he manages the portfolio as if he's managing, his own portfolio, and he is managing his own money in that portfolio as well. So he's not going to change his strategy just because he has a high number of copiers. So he's doing what he would have done anyway. So if Yape Bonde can do it, I think we can do it. So over the next 4 or 5 years, I think after we've built a sufficient track record like he has been on the platform since about 2013. I think over 4 or 5 years, I think if we can match those kind of returns on average, we will attract a large number of copiers as well, and maybe we will even hit 5 million one day. So that is the goal towards the first 5 million and the first 10 million. So that is the road to the first few million in assets under management. But to get to the $1 billion mark, I think I probably have to set up an actual fund, perhaps a public fund that anyone, or maybe retail investors or institutional investors can invest in. So the inspiration for that is FundsMate. So for regular viewers of the channel, they will know that every month I compare my portfolio performance against FundsMate. FundsMate is a fund that I admire because of the values and because of the long-term strategy it has. Terry Smith is a very good investment manager, I think. And so Terry Smith manages about 18.8 billion at the moment. That is a lot of money. There we go, $18.8 billion. So if you saw the January 2020 update, you will know that we beat FundsMate this year. FundsMate only did a return of about 25%, whereas we did about 31% plus. But of course, 1 year is a very short time frame, and the goal is really to deliver very good returns over the long term. And that's exactly what FundsMate has been able to do. FundsMate started from humble beginnings sometime in November 2010. nearly 9 years ago, and it achieved those roughly 20% returns over those 9 years on average. 9 years ago, Fundsmith was not very big. In fact, it was only managing about 39 million at that time. But fast forward 9 years and Fundsmith has grown incredibly. And that is the goal as well, to start that public fund sometime in the future and to grow to at least 1 billion. So setting up a public fund will not be easy. It requires a lot of money, I believe. So I will probably have to earn enough from my investing and also from my eToro account to be able to do that. So that in general is the roadmap. For the first 4 or 5 years, become a very highly copied popular investor on eToro, earn that 2% in AUM, grow that AUM on eToro, and with that money that I earn from here and from my investing in general, and of course Project 1 million, then I will probably decide to set up a fund. And with that fund, I will try to emulate Fundsmith. And if I can emulate the performance of Fundsmith over the next 10 years or the next 15 years, then I can probably grow into the kind of size that Fundsmith has. And if I can, then I will have the chance to reach that 1 billion mark in assets under management. So this is a long-term project. It's going to take 10 to maybe 20 years or even 30 years. But I'm getting started, and that's what it's all about. So if you would like to join eToro and you don't already have an account, please use the link in my description panel, and you can get an additional $50 if you use my link. I believe eToro is a good platform to get started, especially if you're looking to copy other good investors. So check out some of the other videos I've done about good long-term investors, and you could copy them, or you could even copy my portfolio. But the important thing is to get started. So thank you for watching and have a great day. Hey YouTube, this is the January 2020 update for Project 1 billion. In this video, I'm going to go through my eToro portfolio. I'm going to take a look at some other benchmarks on eToro in terms of other popular investors, and I'm also going to talk about my portfolio going forward. So let's get into it. On the portfolio page, you can see the stocks I own in my portfolio. So first up, we have Adobe at about 4.89% of the portfolio. We have PayPal at about 4.46% of the portfolio. We have MasterCard at about 4.42% of the portfolio. Let's scroll down. We have Amazon at about 4.05% of the portfolio. Google at about 3.96% of the portfolio. And Intuitive Surgical at about 3.90% of the portfolio. And our cash balance is, as stated here, is 76.90%. So this is actually based on the original amounts invested. So with the growth of some of the stocks, the cash balance is actually a bit lower. It's about 74.2% currently. So I hope to bring down that cash balance position. I much rather stay invested than hold cash. It's just that this is a new portfolio, and I am managing other people's money on this portfolio. So I want to be a bit more careful, and I want a dollar cost average at the moment, because market valuations are pretty high at the moment. So I don't see much bargains and so I can't do wholesale buying just yet. So as mentioned, I still rather own businesses than hold cash, so I will dollar cost average. At the moment, I plan to invest about 3 to 6% of the portfolio every week, and I'll also be adding some cash every month. So in that, I'll probably be adding about 5%, 3 to 5% of the portfolio every month. So I expect probably by the middle of the year to be at least 50% or more invested, and probably by the end of the year, this portfolio will be fully invested, and that is how I prefer it. Um, so some of the stocks here are a bit different than what I have in my Project 1 million portfolio. And if you're interested to know what the stocks I have in Project 1 million portfolio, you can view the video that I'll put up as a card. So I don't have Adobe in Project 1 million, but I got the chance to buy Adobe at a very good price. So I had to pounce on it at that time. At that time, I was still figuring out eToro, so I just took a chance and it proved to be a good bet. But Adobe is a good business, and I would love to hold it for Project 1 million as well. Now the price of Adobe has risen quite substantially since I bought it. You can see here it's risen almost 31% since I bought it. So I will probably not add Adobe just yet to Project 1 million, but I may dollar cost average into it eventually. The same goes with PayPal. I got a chance to buy it at a good price, and you can see it's up nearly 20% since I bought it. And again, PayPal is a great business that I wouldn't mind owning for Project 1 million as well. So if I get the chance, I will dollar cost average into PayPal as well for Project 1 million. The other stocks are familiar stocks because they're also in Project 1 million. MasterCard, Amazon, Google, Intuitive Surgical. So they're not exactly in the same proportion yet that they are in Project 1 million, but I definitely intend to increase the weighting of some of these stocks like MasterCard, Amazon, Google, and Intuitive Surgical. They will probably be a bit more than some of the other stocks that we will eventually have in this portfolio. I also plan to dollar cost average into Facebook, Alibaba, and Visa, probably next, and probably around that order as well. I may get a chance to dollar cost average into Facebook within this week if the price goes down a little, and the next 2 weeks probably into Alibaba or Visa. And once I've done that, I will have all the stocks that I am most confident about in the portfolio. And then it's a matter of just dollar cost averaging into those same stocks for the most part. Although I may make other small bets on some other very promising companies, but those will be the companies that will drive this portfolio for the foreseeable future. So let's look at the stats page next. So year to date for 2020, we have done about 1.13%. 2019 we started quite late, and for the last 3 months of 2019 we did about 6.67%. Right now we have about 6 copiers, and our AUM is about less than 50k. So since my minimum copy amount is about 250, that's the recommended amount, and since I have 6 copiers, so 6 multiplied by 250 would give us about 1,500 in AUM. And so I'm going to use that as a general estimate of the AUM that we currently manage. I'm keeping my risk score quite low, and that is good. So far the market has just been going up, so we haven't had much of a drawdown. You can see some other stats here. You can see the holding time. I mean, right now it's just 2 months, but this can be many months or even years, because these are companies that we'll be holding for the very long term. So because I've been holding so much cash, the market has been flying in Jan just like it was in December, but I haven't been able to capture a lot of those returns just yet. If we take a look at some of the other long-term investors that I follow, they've done much better so far. Let's take a look at this guy, Spark Liang, and let's look at his stats. So you can see that he has managed 6.43% so far this year, because he tends to be he is actually more invested right now than me. Although he's not completely invested, he still is holding quite a bit of cash as well. But nonetheless, some of the stocks that he owns, like Alibaba, Tesla, and Facebook, have just been flying in January. So he's done very well so far. Let's take a look at some other of the long-term popular investors that I follow. Let's look at Mariano Pardo. So let's look at his stats. So he has also done pretty well so far. He's done about 5%. We can look at his portfolio. Also has a lot of familiar names: Google, Amazon. He also has Tesla, which has served him well. It's Microsoft, Facebook, Alibaba, Visa, and some other stocks here as well. So these are popular investors that I have identified who are long-term investors basically and have a good track record. So these are the kind of popular investors that I will be comparing my portfolio to going forward for this series. Let's take a look at Warren Buffett. So Warren Buffett has he owns private companies under Berkshire Hathaway, and he also owns stocks, which is his public stock portfolio. So this particular portfolio tracks his public stocks portfolio. So let's take a look at how he has done. So Warren Buffett, a bit slow so far in 2020, just like me. Only nearly about 2% so far. Last year, his portfolio did about 33%. And I think we know what's in his portfolio in general, but let's just take a look. We know that he has Apple. Apple's done very well. Bank of America, Coca-Cola, American Express, Wells Fargo, and so on. Maybe we'll take a look at one more popular investor. One Girl is another one that I admire on eToro, and I think her portfolio has also been flying so far this year, and is up nearly 6.27% in January alone. She has similar stocks that I like as well: Mastercard, Shopify, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Netflix, PayPal, Nvidia, Facebook, Google, and other stocks here as well. So these are some of the people that I will be following closely for this series. So for Project 1 Million, I tend to do the update at the start of the month, and for Project 1 Billion, I probably will do the update in the middle of the month. So that gives me 2 updates to do every month. So Project 1 Billion is starting from very humble beginnings. We only have an AUM of about 1,500 right now, and this could fluctuate wildly. This is quite different from Project 1 Million, where I'm managing my own money, and I would be very happy actually if the market declined substantially, because I would be buying some of these great companies at a cheaper price. But I understand that copyists who allocate money to you can be very skittish, and if they see a big decline, they may decide to stop copying you. So that copy amount or the AUM amount can fluctuate quite greatly. But I'm focused on the long term. I think overall, last year we did about 30+% for our Project 1 million portfolio. And I think as long as we invest in great companies for the long term, I think we will do well. And over time, I think we will attract a lot of good copyists as well who are able to stay committed to the portfolio. I just want to add that on the eToro platform, you can also check out my feed. And on my feed, I regularly post articles that I read or other videos that I see or other observations. So recently, Visa acquired this company, this fintech startup, and so I posted a video about that I saw. And then there was another video about that as well. And I'm also keeping track of other companies like Booking Holdings, and of course Facebook, and Google also acquired another small startup recently. And I also keep track on the price targets set by some analysts. So if you're interested to know what I'm reading or looking at, or you want to stay updated on some of the stocks I own in my portfolio, you can follow me on my feed, and you will get those updates in your own. So that's the update for January 2020. If you're interested to join eToro, and if you haven't joined already, I highly recommend the platform. It is a good way to learn from other investors, and it is a good way to copy some very good investors as well. If you use the link in the description box, you can get $50, and you can use that almost immediately. So that's it for this update. Thank you for watching, and happy investing. Hey YouTube, this is the February 2020 update for my eToro portfolio. So the portfolio has been doing not too bad. Let's take a look at the stocks in the portfolio. So we have Amazon at about 8.25%, Google 7.52%, Alibaba at 7.18%, Intuitive Surgical at 7.12%, Facebook 6.84%, Adobe at 4.98%, MasterCard, PayPal, Boeing, Visa, and Booking. So these are the same stocks I have in my Project 1 million portfolio. So far, we haven't been fully invested for this portfolio. I've been dollar cost averaging into these stocks over the course of the last 1.5 months, and even in early or late 2019 as well. I started actually. So we are about 60% plus invested in this portfolio. We're looking to get more invested as time goes on. Market valuations are a little high right now, so I can't just, I don't want to really just fully invest the portfolio in these same stocks at the moment, because anything can happen. The market could go down by 5 to 10%, and I don't want my copyists especially to have a big shock. For me personally, if the market goes down, that is a good opportunity to buy more. But I understand that many people who are copying my portfolio may be new to investing, and so seeing their portfolio value go down suddenly might be a big shock to them. So I'm taking a gradual approach to this portfolio, and I hope it pays off over the long term. So let's go over to the stats page and let's take a look at the portfolio. So As you see, I mean, in January, I think I was only about uh, 20 to 30% invested. So that affected the performance a little. But you can see as we got more invested, the performance has risen quite substantially. And I expect that to continue. Of course, the market can't just go up in one direction, but I think we have a decent balance now between being invested and also having cash to take advantage of dips. So we'll continue to do that. Let's take a look at how this portfolio has also done compared to some of the other benchmarks that I've set uh, in this platform. So as you know, I have a watch list for long-term investors. And so these are some of the long-term investors I have identified and who I not only compare my portfolio against, but I also look to their portfolios for ideas and even for inspiration. And some of these investors have been doing very, very well. So let's look at Spark Liang first, and let's see how he has done so far for 2020. So Spark Liang has done phenomenally well actually. He has done about 14% plus so far in 2020. I think that's a great result. His portfolio I think has been more invested than mine, and so that has substantially boosted it. But not only that, I think he also made some very shrewd bets. One of them is Shopify, which you can see here, and that is now shot up to become his top holding because Shopify has risen so much. Although I think when he originally invested, it was just 3.35% of his portfolio. But you can see how much it has jumped since. Facebook and Alibaba are stocks that I also like for my portfolio. He has some other stocks here as well. But I think the thing that really has helped him also is that he had a position in Tesla. And if we can maybe look at the history, let's look at that. You can see here that he bought Tesla at very good prices. You can see he bought this Tesla at this price, 2019, this price, 2019 as well, and at this price. And when Tesla shot up, and boy did it shoot up, he closed his Tesla trades. And look at the profit he had for those trades. So he has done very well on his Tesla trades, and that was very shrewd on his part, very insightful, I suppose, because he saw Tesla was undervalued and he decided to take advantage of it. I personally have never invested in Tesla yet, and probably with the sharp rise in the price now, I probably won't invest in Tesla either. I'm still trying to understand if Tesla has a real strong moat. Let's see how it goes. I'm not convinced yet that Tesla belongs in my portfolio, but it has helped a lot of investors, and Spark Liang is one of them, and that's why he has had such a good return so far in 2020. Another long-term investor that has been doing very well so far is this investor called One Girl, and her portfolio has just exploded in 2020. Let's take a look. Her portfolio has done 17.43%, an amazing result. I mean, I thought 2019 was going to be, was good, but it seems that 2020 so far has been shaping up even better for her. Let's take a look at what she has in her portfolio. So you can see that Shopify has also risen to one of her top holdings. She also has MasterCard and Amazon and some other very good high quality companies. You can see that she has held on to these stocks for a very long time, and that's why the profit percentage on these stocks is so high. Look at that. I mean, everything is in high double digits, except a few here, which I think are newer additions. And so she has also opened a position here in Tesla, but only in a very small percentage so far. But in general, it seems like she also has very high quality stocks, and many of these stocks are actually owned for my own portfolio. And there are some stocks that I'm looking to buy also. Maybe Nvidia I might dabble in if I feel I have enough of an understanding of it and its mode. I'm also looking at Trilio. Trilio is something that I feel is quite interesting. It seems to get stronger as more people use it, so it has a network effect, and so I'm looking at that as well. I know these other stocks like Roku and Pinterest, but so far, Roku I think is going to come up against tough competition with Amazon's Fire TV, so I haven't really had the desire to buy Roku yet. Pinterest, I think, is an interesting play. It's a small social media kind of company, but I still think that in terms of social media companies, I think Facebook is my best bet. So I haven't dabbled in Pinterest yet. But to her credit, she has done very well this year, and I'm looking towards her portfolio for ideas and also see how she does for the rest of the year. Let's take a look at some other long-term investors and how they have done. Let me toggle over to long-term. Okay. Just for the sake of it, let's take a look at how Warren Buffett has done so far this year. So this is Warren Buffett's public stock portfolio, where he owns his public listed companies. This portfolio has struggled a little this year, but it did have a strong 2019, probably due to Apple. You can take a look at some of the stocks. Let's look at the stocks here. Apple, Bank of America, Coke, American Express, usual suspects here. Okay, let's go back now to some of the other long-term investors on this platform. So Alderic is another one that I copy my portfolio against. And Alderic has done well for a number of years actually. He has about 1,400 copiers as well. Let's take a look at his stats. But so far this year, I am beating him. He's done about 4%, and we did about 4.5% so far this year. He is managing between 1 million to 2 million. So I hope to reach that target as well on eToro. So far it's been slow, but we're already beating Alderic, who's managing 1 to 2 million. I think going forward we are very likely to beat this portfolio as well. Why do I say that? Because among his top holdings are Berkshire Hathaway and Apple and Disney and gold. Well, I like Berkshire. Of course, I like Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway, but I don't think it has the kind of growth that I and my investors are looking for. Apple, I mean, he's done really well on Apple, and it was a very shrewd pick. But going forward, the next 1 or 2 years, I'm not sure if Apple will produce the same kind of returns it did produce last year. I could be wrong, but that's just my feeling at the moment. And the same goes for Walt Disney. I think Walt Disney had a pretty good 2019 as well, but again, going forward, I don't think it has the kind of growth that I'm looking for. And I'm not a fan of gold, so I wouldn't really invest in gold, but I think he's probably seeing this as a counterweight here to the sharp rise in the stock market, and probably as a recession play perhaps in case there is a sharp dip in the market. So those are the long-term investors that I look at. Let's take a look at one more. Yepe is actually one of the most copied investors on eToro. He has about 11,000 copiers. So let's take a look at his performance. And he's done not too bad this year so far. He's done about 8% as well. In terms of the stocks he owns, I think a lot of the stocks seem to be like smaller companies, especially renewable energy companies. He has Facebook as well, Apple, okay, some Tesla. He's been holding Tesla for very long, it appears, and he's really rode it to a huge profit, at least in terms of just that Tesla investment. There's some other big name companies here as well. But he seems to have a large number of companies and doesn't seem to have the kind of concentration that the portfolios of Spark Leong and One Girl had. And that concentration kind of shows more conviction in your ideas, I feel. But let's see, this portfolio has done not too bad this year as well. And I think he manages one of the biggest amounts on eToro. He has about 5 million plus in copy assets under management. Hopefully this year we can beat his portfolio, and so we can attract some of that AUM to our portfolio as well. Let's see how that goes. So let's also take a look at how our progress has been in terms of attracting more copiers and our AUM. So I don't have 20 copiers yet, so I can't look at the exact AUM amount. So that's why we just estimate the AUM for now. So I didn't really attract any copiers over the last month, so it's been slow going. But a lot of people have still been looking at my profile. So hopefully, if they see how the portfolio is doing, and that is doing well, perhaps they will become copiers in the future. So these are some of the copiers that who have joined and who are copying my portfolio. I've covered the names because I don't want to reveal that. But you can see that those who joined the earliest have had the most gains. Like this person joined on 2nd of December, and the portfolio, and they allocated a very big amount to the portfolio, and they have gained about 6%. And then someone who joined like a week later, he's gained about 5%. And this one joined near the end of December, he's gained about 4% plus. And this one joined on the first day of the year, and he's gained about 3.5% so far. So I think in general, I think the earlier you join, the more your gains are likely to be. So who could be a possible copier? I think someone who's looking to outsource their investing, who has other interests in life, and would like someone else to do their investing for them. I think that would be someone who is likely to be a copier. And I found this profile interesting. NKK artist. She's a artist apparently. So she's just looking to copy people who are investing, and doing good in terms of their investments. So she has other interests. She has interest in painting, video games, books, TV shows, and so on. And she even has her own art page on Facebook. So I guess someone like that who's just looking to find good investors and then copy them, and so that they can pursue their own interests. Let's look at her portfolio. So she has copied many investors on the platform. So she's copied some of these investors. I think Mariano Pardo is one of the long-term investors that I've identified, and so I think he's a good bet. Yape we have discussed earlier. A lot of these other investors, I think they're mostly traders, so I think their earnings and profits can be more volatile and also probably not as predictable. And they can be sharp, ups and downs, I guess, in some of their portfolios. So these are some of the other people she's copying. Let's look at the stats so far. So although she's copying many people, her stats for the year have not been so good so far. Maybe if she had stuck to some of the better long-term investors, her profits could have been better. But I think she is finding out and who are the better performers for her, and eventually she will probably narrow down the list. And hopefully one day we can attract her to our portfolio as well. So eToro also has something called copy portfolios, which are basically just a group of stocks or commodities or even traders grouped together around a theme. So you have people who are traders who are grouped together, active traders grouped together as well here. And importantly, you also have some of these portfolios that are grouped according to like themes, like crypto. So I found this one quite interesting. Not because I'm a fan of crypto, but I just found it interesting. And you can look at the returns that this portfolio has had this year so far, and it's done about 70% so far this year. What an amazing result! Last year, of course, the equity markets were super good and did about 30+%, but this underperformed and did about 18%. Look at 2018 and did a minus 83%. So, I mean, this is not for the faint-hearted. And you can see that in terms of the asset allocation, it's mainly Bitcoin and some Ethereum and some other cryptos here, and a big allocation of the portfolio to a bunch of other unnamed cryptos here as well. So, I mean, if cryptos is your thing and you're not sure which crypto to go for, then you could just invest in this crypto portfolio and get a diversified set of cryptos to invest in, just like a ETF. So I found that interesting. So the other piece of news I have to share is that I'm launching a Discord chat. And this is going to be free for the copyists on eToro, and for everyone else I'm charging a small fee of about $5 per month. This is going to be an exclusive club for people who want to talk about high quality investment ideas, and you have personal access to me through this Discord chat. And I'll also be sharing articles I read, ideas I have, links, and other things I'm just observing. And perhaps this will also give you inspiration to set up your own portfolio, or you can also bounce off your ideas with me if you would like to. So, so if you're interested in joining the Discord chat, you can go to this website, patreon.com/investingeducation. And then the membership level you will need to select would be this one, access through Discord, and it's $5 per month. And so you can go down once you made the payment, then you can unlock this post, and then you can get the link to the Discord chat there. And so I look forward to seeing you in the Discord chat. I will be pretty active in the Discord chat, and I will hope it will be of value to you. And I think together we can make it into a very exciting place to discuss high quality investment ideas. The other thing you'll probably notice is that I'm renaming Project 1 billion to Project Buffett 2.0. So I do definitely still want to reach that 1 billion goal, but it will take several years, maybe even several decades. But the broader goal really is to try to emulate what Warren Buffett has done. So Warren Buffett, I mean, he is a self-made billionaire, and so he's just been investing in high good quality companies all his life, and that's how he's been able to compound his money over the long term. And so that's exactly what I'm trying to do. Warren Buffett is famous for buying Coke and other good quality companies. Of course, Apple has been a big winner for him in recent times as well. And so I hope some of the companies we buy will also be big winners for us over the long term. Um, so we have several years to go before we can, provide a good track record. But we're already building up that track record. And so I think over time, as we build up that track record, we will attract more copiers on the eToro platform, and that will also lead us towards the goals that I stated in my project 1 billion. And I think that is really the goal, to replicate the kind of performance that Warren Buffett has been able to achieve over 50 years, which is like 20%, nearly 20% over 50 years. And not only did he grow his money, he also grew the money of many of his early investors. And so I hope I can achieve the same. So if you like what you saw in this video, please give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not, so for future updates. And if you like the general platform, the eToro platform, and you like the ability to copy good investors, I suggest you join the eToro platform. You can use my link in the description tab, and you can even get an extra $50 to start trading. So thank you for watching. I hope you took away some good points from this video. I hope you stay with us on this journey, this long-term journey, and we'll see you in the next video. Hey YouTube, the markets are in turmoil right now. The S&P 500, the Nasdaq, the Dow, they're all down double digits. Let's take a look. The Dow is down nearly 25%. The Nasdaq is down nearly 20%, and the S&P 500 is down about 16+%. Our portfolio on eToro has done better than the indices, and we are currently beating the market, but we are also significantly down for the year. Let's get into the March 2020 update for Project Buffett 2.0. So let's take a look at the portfolio, and let's look at the statistics of the portfolio so far. So the portfolio is down nearly or more than 12% year to date. So far in March, we're down about 7.63% after a bad February as well. Let's look at the portfolio and what are the top holdings in the portfolio. We have Amazon at about 15.16%, Alibaba at 10% plus, MasterCard, Google, Intuitive Surgical, Facebook, Visa, Adobe, PayPal, Microsoft, Autodesk, which is a new addition to the portfolio, Booking Holdings, and Boeing. And our cash is about 4.2. We added some cash over the weekend actually, because we want to take advantage of the cheaper prices available right now, and we will be deploying that cash very soon actually. So since the last update, I've been buying a lot. Although I had wished I waited a bit more to buy them at even cheaper prices, that's how it is. So it is what it is, and at least we got a chance to buy some of these high quality companies at much better prices. We are very confident about these companies. These are very high quality companies, and many of them will not even be affected by the coronavirus situation. Amazon, Alibaba may even boom during this period where there is more demand for e-commerce. MasterCard might take a short-term hit because less people will be spending, but on the flip side of the coin, more people will be spending online through e-commerce, So they may actually be using e-commerce payment methods like MasterCard more. More people will be watching YouTube because they are staying at home. So that's likely a good point for Google. If the economy goes into a recession, there may be less people advertising to Google's properties. But we think that will be short term. Intuitive surgical is in the medical field. And in general, I think the medical field stands to benefit from more people seeking medical treatment. Although intuitive surgical focuses on the niche of robotic surgery is itself expanding to cover even more general procedures and more types of treatment. So we still think intuitive surgical should still be able to do well through this crisis. Facebook, similar to the reasoning given for Google and YouTube, more people will probably be checking out Facebook during this period. In fact, I've been checking out Facebook a lot more just for news updates and to find out what's happening in markets. There's been a constant avalanche of news available on what's going on. So more people want to stay connected through Facebook. Visa, we think for the reason given with MasterCard, they might see a short-term hit, but we do not think this will be long-term. Remember, all these companies have very strong competitive advantages, very strong economic moats, and they have a lot of capital. Even if the economy were to shut down for many months, these companies are very well capitalized, very well funded, and they will probably even grow stronger during a recession because they're able to do things that their competitors cannot do. And they may even acquire smaller companies who are unable to compete anymore with them during a difficult time in the economy. Adobe actually released its quarterly results recently, and there seems to be almost very little impact on Adobe's earnings, not just for the past quarter, but also in the current quarter. And even the CEO said he has seen very little impact so far. In fact, some of Adobe's offerings like Photoshop, Premiere Pro will probably be used. I mean, they can be used at home, so they may be even be used more during this period. So when people are working from home and using their software from wherever they are. PayPal might also see a hit like Visa and Master, but we think again that this will be short term. Microsoft, we wanted to take advantage of its strong positioning in the cloud, and we don't see the cloud market affected in the long term. Yes, some companies might tighten their belts a little if the economy worsens, might tighten their IT spending, but the imperative to move towards the cloud is a long-term mega trend, and we see more and more companies eventually, following that trend. In fact, Microsoft also has some software solutions that may see increased uptake during this period where many people are working from home. It has Microsoft Teams, which is a collaboration tool. It has Skype. It also has other products like LinkedIn. People might want to stay connected professionally through LinkedIn. It has its games division. Microsoft did say that it will see some softening of its sales for its Windows division because less laptops will be sold, and so less laptops mean less licenses of Windows, which Microsoft owns. But again, we think that will be temporary. Autodesk is very similar to Adobe in that it offers software solutions for designers and creators, especially in the construction and engineering field. And Autodesk is going through a multi-year transition towards a subscription model. And Adobe has already completed, for the most part, that transition. But Autodesk, I think, is about 70-80% through that transition, but has not completed it yet so far. So once we see that Autodesk has completed that transition to a purely subscription model, we think the business will be even stronger. Most of his revenue will be recurring, and is the leader in the field that it is in. And so we see it also gaining market share in a difficult time where competitors are unable to compete with the strength of a market leader. Booking Holdings and Boeing have been bad bets so far because travel has basically been decimated by the crisis. People are not traveling as much. Everyone is being advised to stay at home, practice social distancing, and so on. But again, over the next 2 or 3 years, we feel that travel will come back. People start traveling through planes again. Boeing will have got over its crisis, the 737 MAX crisis. Booking as a whole is still a leader in the hotel industry. It has a strong network effect in terms of having the most number of hotel bookings on its site, on its multiple properties. And is moving into different genres like experiences as well. And also, I think in terms of making investments into other companies like the Uber of China and so on. And Boeing and Airbus are basically a duopoly. So if you have to buy planes, you have to buy from either one of them. And we think Boeing will come back strongly in the next few years. So that's how the portfolio is right now. We're still confident on the portfolio, and we think we're not sure how portfolio will do this year, whether it will be in positive territory this year, but over the long term, the portfolio will definitely go up. In fact, if you're a follower of the portfolio and you're sitting on a fence on whether to copy this portfolio or not, now is one of the better times to copy this portfolio because prices are so cheap. And when you copy the portfolio, you'll be buying into these companies at those cheaper prices. The market could go up 10% tomorrow, or it could go down as well 10%. But over the long term, the market will definitely go up. And in the game we are playing, which is long-term investing, it's always better to buy companies at cheaper prices. So if you are deciding or still thinking about whether to copy this portfolio, now is one of those better times to start copying. So every month we also compare our portfolio's performance against some of the best long-term investors on the eToro platform, and there are some very good investors. There's even Warren Buffett's portfolio. You can see that many of these investors have lost copiers during this period, and that's a pity because this is the period when you should be investing actually, and this is a period when you should be investing more, adding to funds, averaging down, and that is the way really to succeed in long-term investing. Let's take a look at some of them in more depth because some of them are doing very well. Let's take a look at Spark Liang first. So Spark Liang is a long-term investor. He has about almost 59,000 plus followers. He lost about 214 copiers, which I mentioned is a pity. He's also gained about he has about nearly 3,000 copiers. Let's take a look at his stats. So Spark Liang has managed to limit the downside of the current market turmoil very well. He has only sustained a negative result of about 3% so far for March, and for the year he's up 4.6. One of the reasons why he's still up for the year is because he made a very shrewd bet in Tesla, which I talked about in my previous update. And so he bought Tesla when it was low and he sold it off when it was high, and that was a very shrewd move. And so that's one reason why his portfolio is still up for the year. And he's also been very heavy in cash, as you will see shortly. So that's one reason he's been able to limit his downside quite a lot. He manages between 2 million to 5 million under this portfolio. Let's take a look at the holdings in this portfolio. So his top position is Facebook, he has Apple, he has Alibaba, Shopify, JD, Disney, Starbucks. I think he's bought into Master and Visa over the last few days. He's been using up a lot more of his portfolio value as well. So I think it was just a few days ago actually when his portfolio, or at least the cash in his portfolio, was at about 50 over percent, and so he's definitely been buying aggressively over the last few days. You can see his cash balance is now down to about 30%. So he's bought nearly 20% worth of stocks of his portfolio over the last few days. So he's definitely seeing opportunities in the market as well. So let's take a look at Warren Buffett's portfolio and how it has been doing. So Warren Buffett's portfolio is about in line with the general market. It's down about nearly 20% for the year. These stocks are Apple, Coke, Bank of America, and so on. Next, let's take a look at OneGo, which is another very good investor on the eToro platform. So OneGo has also not been spared from the market beating. Her portfolio is down 8.73% and down minus 5% plus for the year. These are her holdings: MasterCard, Shopify, Amazon. And you can take a look at the rest. Some good high quality companies. And she also has some small bets on some very promising companies, as you can see here. Let's also take a look at one of the most copied investors on the eToro platform. Yepe Monde. He has about 8,800 plus copiers. So his portfolio has taken a real beating in March. I think he was also long on oil, so that's one reason why his portfolio fell so much in March. He's down minus 14% plus. And for the year he's down minus 16% plus. So we are beating him both for March and for the year so far. As mentioned, he has about 8,800 plus copiers and he's managing about 5 million plus assets under his portfolio. So this is one reason why it's good to be a little diversified in who you copy as well. So you may not just want to copy one popular investor, you may want to copy several popular investors so that you're diversified across several portfolios. So the Fed has been taking some very aggressive action to calm the markets. It's cut rates now to zero and is also launching a $700 billion quantitative easing program. This was done just yesterday, and so far the market has not responded well, but like I said, it's very hard to time the market. I have no clue whether the market will go up tomorrow or over the next week or even over the next month. But over the long term, I'm absolutely sure that the high quality companies we are buying will do well. In fact, since they're so high quality, since they're market leaders, they may even gain market share in a bad economy, and this might even make them even better long-term investments. So that's it for the March update. If you would like to be a patron and a supporter of the channel, jump over to our Patreon website and you can subscribe to one of our membership levels. You can also gain personal access through me and also my immediate thoughts and actions in the stock market through Discord at about $5 per month. We look forward to seeing you on the Discord chat. So if you like what you saw in this video, please give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not, so for future updates. And if you like the general platform, the eToro platform, and you like the ability to copy good investors, I suggest you join the eToro platform. You can use my link in the description tab, and you can even get an extra $50 to start trading. So thank you for watching. I hope you took away some good points from this video. I hope you stay with us on this journey, this long-term journey, and we'll see you in the next video. Hey YouTube, it's been a wild ride. The world is grappling with a health crisis. But in terms of stocks, you don't have to worry. As long as you buy high quality companies, you can just buy and hold and just stay at home and sleep basically, because these high quality companies will do the heavy lifting. The most important thing is take care of health and let these high quality companies do their work. So the best investment is an investment yourself, but eToro provides an even better way to just copy some of the best investors in the trade. Let's take a look at how the portfolio has done over the last month, and let's take a look at some of the best investors and traders on the eToro platform. So let's run through the portfolio quickly. Amazon at about 17.33%. Intuitive Surgical is next. Then we have Alibaba. We have Google, MasterCard, Facebook, Visa, Adobe, PayPal, Microsoft, Autodesk, and unfortunately we also have Booking and Boeing, which have really taken the brunt of the crisis. But we think that these two stocks are still good companies. Travel will come back someday, and Booking will be in a good position to lead on that front. And of course, air travel will also come back, and Boeing is basically the only other aircraft manufacturer compared to Airbus. So people will start traveling and airlines will start buying planes. So these two companies will come back. We have cash at about 4% plus of the portfolio currently. In terms of the other companies we own, Amazon has been doing very well lately. Basically, people are sheltering at home and so are buying stuff online on Amazon, and that's good for the business. It might take some short-term hits in terms of the profits because it's hiring many more staff and also probably investing in its logistics capabilities more. But over the long term, this will be probably a very positive contribution to Amazon's business. So Amazon is going to do well, and the other part of this business, which we actually think is the more important part, is the cloud computing segment. And again, I think as more companies decide to have stay-at-home policies or work-from-home policies, they're going to have to digitalize their businesses more. And that's where Amazon's cloud computing comes in. And it will prove to be a very useful tool for a lot of businesses. The move towards cloud computing and of e-commerce is going to be accelerated by the current crisis. So Amazon stands in a good position to benefit. Intuitive Surgical is another very good company that we are very bullish on. But Intuitive Surgical is going to take a hit from the crisis. This is because a lot of hospitals are postponing some of the procedures or surgeries they do with Intuitive Surgical's equipment. But we don't think that this will be a long-term problem for Intuitive Surgical. I mean, some of these procedures are elective, but they generally still need to be done. They can be postponed maybe by a few months, but eventually they will be done. And of course, there is the underlying trend of an aging demographics around the world. and so people will need better access to some of the technological products or the robots that Intuitive Surgical provides. Robotic surgery is definitely better for the most part than having a human conduct the surgery. So that trend is another undeniable trend that will continue to grow. It's hitting a speed bump right now, but once the crisis is over, you can expect that demand to return. Alibaba, like Amazon, is benefiting both from the e-commerce trend and also from its cloud computing trend. So we think Alibaba, like Amazon, will continue to be strong. Alibaba has also benefited from the containment of the virus in China. So it probably might even go back to normal sooner than a lot of other companies. So we're still quite bullish about Alibaba. Google also is probably going to benefit somewhat from this crisis. Although there is the argument that ad rates will fall and advertisements in general will fall because advertisers are going to be more reluctant to spend in the current climate. But I'm sure all of you are, watching more YouTube videos nowadays, and that can become quite ingrained, and that gives an incentive even for more YouTubers to produce more videos, and that's kind of creates a bond between the YouTubers and the audience. And of course, Google has its search business, which is probably also doing decently, we think, even in this climate. And then Google also has the cloud computing segment, which, for the reasons we stated earlier, will also stand to benefit from the current crisis. MasterCard, again, is a play on the war on cash trend. Basically, more payments will become digital over time. And again, I think this trend will probably be accelerated by the current crisis because less people will want to handle cash. And there's also that need to do more transactions online. So this will probably help MasterCard. Right now, I mean, there might be again a speed bump because less people are spending, especially in retail shops and restaurants and on doing travel. But overall, we think the trend towards digital payments will be accelerated. Facebook again is another interesting stock because although for the reasons mentioned for Google, ad rates might come down, but again, I think more users are probably using Facebook than ever, and hopefully this builds loyalty with these users. So when the crisis does subside, Facebook might emerge much stronger. Visa is very similar to MasterCard, so for those reasons, we think Visa is in a good position too. Adobe again is another online business in the sense that it provides software to a lot of companies, and many of these companies will still be able to work with the software that Adobe provides. Many of these businesses use Adobe software for content creation, and again, that's probably increasing at this time because, for example, YouTubers will want to produce more videos, take advantage of a captive audience. So we don't see a major impact to Adobe's revenue. PayPal is another play on the war on cash, and for the reasons stated earlier, we think PayPal will also emerge from this crisis stronger. Microsoft has its software suite of Microsoft 365 now, as it's called, which formerly known as Office 365, provides Microsoft Office, Excel, PowerPoint, and those are quite established productivity tools in the enterprise sector, and that will continue. And of course, it has the more important cloud computing division, which will also stand to benefit tremendously from the current crisis for the reasons stated earlier. And Microsoft also has collaboration tools like Microsoft Teams, which is also seeing a lot of increased usage and so that was then to benefit Microsoft. Autodesk is similar to Adobe and provides software for the manufacturing and construction industries in particular. So although they may be a short-term hit because there will be less construction activity or manufacturing activity due to the global lockdowns, it's still in a strong position to bounce back once the economy comes back to some sense of normalcy. So overall, we think the portfolio is well positioned to withstand the crisis. Let's take a look at the stats for the portfolio. So we are still in the red for 2020, but we have had a strong April, and that was expected after a not good February and a very bad March. The portfolio was definitely going to bounce back, and it will likely bounce back further. Overall, I'm not sure how the portfolio would do for the year, but I think it's likely that we may still be able to be in the green even at the end of the year, because our companies are very strong. Some of them may even benefit from the current crisis, and others are definitely going to emerge stronger once the crisis ends. So the major indices that we compare our portfolio against are the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100 ETF. So for 2020, we are handily beating both of these indices. So right now, the S&P 500 is down about close to 12% for the year, and the Nasdaq is down about nearly 9% for the year. So we're still outperforming these indices, and we will likely outperform the indices in the coming months and of course in the future as well. So next, let's take a look at some of the best investors and traders on the eToro portfolio. Let me give my take on their portfolios. So first up is Spark Liang. Spark Liang is doing well. It's done about 6.90% in April and is up 12% for the year. Very good, especially given the market volatility. We are beating him for April so far, but I suspect that's largely because he doesn't tend to remain fully invested. Let's take a look at his portfolio. So he has Facebook, Apple, Shopify, and Alibaba as some of his stock holdings, and Disney, JD, and so on. So we have a lot of common holdings. Like I mentioned, he is still about 35% in cash. So I think this tends to deflate the performance of a portfolio, because generally cash is not something you want to hold for the long term. So perhaps he's waiting for the next crash, and it may or may not come. But I think generally the best approach is to stay at least 80 to 90% invested. So while you suffer on the swings down, but you also benefit a lot when the market swings back up again. And over time, the market only goes up. So it's much safer to be fully invested so that you capture all those gains as the market goes up. I'm not sure if I would want to have Facebook as my top position, although I think we actually do hold a similar percentage of it. Apple, I'm not that bullish on, because I think it's more of a seasonal or a fashionable kind of product. But I do see a mode. I may want to initiate a position in Apple if the price is right. Shopify I like, but I can't bring myself to buying it at the current prices. I still feel it is overvalued. Alibaba is another common position that we have, and he also has positions in the payment processors like MasterCard, Visa, and PayPal. Let's take a look at how much he manages as well. He has about 3,230 copiers, and he manages between 2 million to 5 million in assets. Up next, let's take a look at one girl. So how has she done? She's doing quite well in April actually. She's done nearly 12%, actually nearly 13% in April, and she's up 6+% for the year. Very good. So she has Shopify as a top position, and Shopify rallied hard yesterday. Like I mentioned, I'm not going to buy into Shopify at the moment. I still feel it's overvalued. Amazon is a common position, and Amazon has been doing really well so far. Netflix, I don't feel confident in holding because there's so much competition. But at the right prices, I think certain companies are worth owning. But I'm not sure if Netflix is one of them, especially now that it's gone up quite a bit. We have other common positions like MasterCard and Microsoft. She tends to hold a lot of positions, many more than I do, and she tends to make small bets in some very smaller cap kind of companies like Trilio, Roku, Etsy, Zoom, Workday, Plunk, and so on. And some of these companies will definitely do well, but some may not do well. And we don't understand them as well as we do the companies that we already own in our portfolio. And so we will not invest as much into this kind of what we would term speculative companies unless we are more confident about them. And of course, the price must be right as well. Let's take a look at Yeppe Kirkmonde. He is actually one of the most copied investors on the eToro platform. So we're actually beating him. He's down minus 10% for the year. And we're also beating him in April, but he is up 7+% in April. He has about 8,000 plus copiers and manages more than 5 million in assets. His portfolio tends to be very diversified, maybe a little over diversified for our liking. He does have Amazon as a common position. He tends to have a lot of positions in renewable energy, it seems. This one and this one. And a lot of disparate positions in different companies. We can take a look at some of his holdings here. He's holding a bit of cash as well. So some of these companies we like, maybe even LV we would own someday if the price was right. Microsoft is a common position. Some of these companies we've never heard of. For example, Harbor West. Never heard of that company or this company. I'm not very keen on owning Bitcoin either. And I think Bitcoin has really failed actually during this crisis. It was supposed to be a safe haven, but it didn't really prove to be much of a safe haven. So the investors we have looked at so far are typical buy and hold investors like me. There are two other investors that we want to go through. One is sort of a buy and hold investor as well, but he also has short positions. We generally will not have short positions because we do not believe short selling will be a better way to return profits to our investors over the long term. So we are going to be solely focused on buying high quality companies for the long term. But he has done well. In fact, he's done quite well for the year so far. He's done about 9% plus for the year. We're beating him in April because we don't short sell, and market has been rallying in April. But it's not doing badly either. It's 6.58% for April. He's been gaining a lot of copiers recently, so It's got 2,000 plus, and he's managing between 2 million to 5 million. What we like about his portfolio is they're not like 100 positions. He's concentrated, and we think that shows some conviction. Again, he has Amazon as a top position. That's in common with us. We don't like short selling, and he's short selling the Nasdaq, and he is down on that. Short selling can be very risky business, so we don't generally want to do any short selling. He's very heavy on the semicon industry. There's a few companies in that industry: Micron, Western Digital, AMD, Nvidia, and so on. We also own Google, and he also owns Google. And he's very cash heavy at the moment. And I can understand, why one would want to be cash heavy. But again, the stock market doesn't move completely in tandem with the economy. And although the economy will probably head for a recession soon, the stock market tends to be sort of like a leading indicator and tends to move about at least a few months ahead of the economy. So the stock market at least is seeing recovery and is pricing that in. And that's why we're seeing the current rally. We'll look at one final investor. He is more of a long short investor. So he has managed to navigate the current crisis pretty decently as well. He's done about 14% for the year. But he is down 2+% because he's a short seller, I think, perhaps for the most part. That's why he's probably down despite the rally in the market. He actually now has one of the highest number of copiers, 9,400 plus, and he manages more than 5 million in assets. So it's dangerous to be a short seller because the market will generally go up over the long term, and it's very hard to time the market. Nobody can time the market to a T consistently over the long term. So it's much better and safer to be a buy and hold investor and to own high quality companies. So he does have some long positions. He also has some short positions, as mentioned. You can see some of the stocks he owns here. So some common positions like Alibaba. He's short selling Tesla, interestingly. He's even short selling Facebook, even more interesting. Short selling Zoom. Okay, and he has about 13% in cash. So although I criticize some of these investors for short selling, I do look to their portfolios. It's very interesting to see what they're doing, what they're thinking. And at the most, if I do feel that a bear market of great proportions is on the way, I might keep more cash. It's very unlikely I'll do any short selling, but I may be a little bit more cash heavy. If you would like to be a patron and a supporter of the channel, jump over to our Patreon website and you can subscribe to one of our membership levels. You can also gain personal access through me and also my immediate thoughts and actions in the stock market through Discord at about $5 per month. We look forward to seeing you on the Discord chat. So if you like what you saw in this video, please give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not, so for future updates. And if you like the general platform, the eToro platform, and you like the ability to copy good investors, I suggest you join the eToro platform. You can use my link in the description tab, and you can even get an extra $50 to start trading. So thank you for watching. I hope you took away some good points from this video. I hope you stay with us on this journey, this long-term journey, and we'll see you in the next video.